Hey guys, gals, and MBs. I'm going to do an end of the year video where I'm just going to go over my favorite music equipment that's new for this year. I think one of them is new this year, but I'm not 100% sure. But let's just get started. Yeah, since this year is almost over, today is New Year's Eve of 2024. So, yeah. The first thing that I'm going to go over really quick is the MS 1111 from Liquid Stands. I was recommended to look at their stands, and it is a very nice stand. I don't know if it came out this year, but I think it did. Absolutely fantastic. It does have a few, engineering defects. The way the casters go in, you will have to get some washers in order. I made a quick video about that in order for them to fit in nicely. It is a very bad design decision by them, but it was also only $100, so can't really go wrong with that. I also got the matching laptop stand that I'm using right now for the Nightverb that is in this video. It's being held up there, and the synth is being held up by the stand itself, so it makes for a very versatile stand. You can even get a second tier for it, which I might end up doing. The other thing that's not 100% music related, but I use it for everything music based, that would be the Mac Mini with the M4 Pro. Absolutely fantastic little computer. Yeah, at least I use a Mac for all of my music stuff, and I use a Ryzen-based machine. I have one of the X3D, the 7000 series X3D that I use for a gaming system. So it's like I have both, but for music production, I use a Mac because I like Logic, and I also don't like dealing with the countless Windows updates and the bullshit direction that Windows has gone into to be a productivity operating system, which I feel like half the time when I'm in it is always something broken. And since I work an IT job, I don't want to have to like dick around with getting my computer to work to do work at home. So yeah, I've dealt with Mac OS for that. If I game, that's a different thing. I did generally, the gaming side of thing is a bit different there. I will deal with that kind of stuff when I want to game because it's not me trying to get something done, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so awesome machine. And yeah, so the other two things that I want to bring up that are my two favorite things, I'm going to say they're easily my two favorite things this year. That is the TO5 and the Erica Synths Nightverb. So the Oberheim TO5 and the Erica Synths Nightverb. We're just going to go over a few things that I like about it. It's not going to be too long and exhaustive. I've already made plenty of videos with the TO5. I made a few videos, I think, with the Nightverb. I might have just made music with it instead because I love it so much. All right, that said, let's just go into the things that I really love about this. And the first thing I'm going to bring up is the actual factory packages are really, really good. Like fantastically good, like usably good. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. Like your first patch, it's an Oberheim. That's exactly what you should have on a synth when you start it up. A patch that's super usable, really shows the characteristics of the synth, and just fun to play. I mean, listen to this thing. If I could play it right. Let me go down an octave. Let me use the ARP really quick. And the most amazing thing about this patch is by default, none of the effects are turned on. We can even add some effects. The tape delay, unfortunately, is not stereo. So the only thing that was really happening here with the mod matrix, at least for effects kind of things, is there was pan spread happening, but I don't really consider that an effect. So yeah, I use the BBD delay because only the delay and the BBD delay are stereo. Yeah, the other ones are sum to mono as far as I can tell. Let's do just a key sync there, a little bit of dirt there. Let's do depth. Let's turn up the feedback. So yeah, key sync. Yeah, all right. Let's turn on a little bit of reverb there too, which is absolutely stunning for a built-in reverb on a synth. I've grown to actually like the reverb, not enough to not obviously have an external reverb, but at least it's probably the best sounding reverb in a sequential synth, also with Take 5. If used sparingly, I think it's stunning. If you overdo it, it does sound a little metallic and a little comb filtery, but yeah, that's it. It's a little comb filtery there. Turn it down. So much fun, so gorgeous sounding, and like I said, that's just your opening patch. So some people were saying, at least in their talking about this synth, that it's only 44 keys, I'm sorry, but it does have an octave split, which is absolutely stunningly useful for this. The reason being is because then you could play a low note, obviously, here for your like here. We'll just do this. But then you could... And then if we have that split off, this will be a much higher note, obviously. That's how that works. But you can go down 2 octaves in the split or 1 octave, and you can set where the split point is. So it's absolutely fantastic and super versatile. So that kind of gets around to the limitations as long as you don't have to use your middle notes. If you use a very low notes on your left side and you use the higher ones on your right side, then... Yeah, you get the idea. So, yeah. So, and one of the things that really just sets this apart, I know I just stated that in another video that somebody made on the best synths of this year. They were stating like, well, you know, there's other synths with a state variable filter, but none of the other state variable filters sound as good as this one. I had a Hydra synth. I didn't think the state variable filter sounded anything like a SEM filter. Even though the the Mini Freak is modeled after a SEM filter, it does not sound like a SEM filter, in my opinion. I mean, it sounds good. I will say it does sound way better than the Hydra Synths filter or the state variable filter, but it still doesn't have that bite that this does. This is something that you can only really get from this synth and potentially the OB6 and the OBX8, or I think it's X8, so the big one from them. But there's so many things you lose with the higher end synths from them, which is funny. This is actually, I feel like, the most versatile out of all those. Yes, you lose 1 or 3 voices, so depending on which one you go with, but you also, on the higher end synths, in quotes, you lose the extremely polished and like powerful mod matrix. You can like just route so many things to different things. You also lose the through zero FM, which is very unique to this synth, which gives you analog style FM, but it stays within tune. So it's actually quite useful. I made a video on that a while ago. I also made a video on how you can kind of emulate that by using syncing and FM on the Take 5, but this is a little different. So yeah, the FM on this is absolutely useful and awesome. It is on the Take 5 too, but you have to use, at least in my opinion, you have to use oscillator sync for that. With this, you don't necessarily have to. But yeah, let's just go to another one of the factory presets I absolutely like, and that's black and blue. That's right here. Whoops. 5-2. Let's do this. Let's do a split. Let's actually do that in 2-octave mode, and let's do that with up and down. Yeah, it's pretty fun, so I love that. Let's do it just this way. It's such a moody and perfect sounding patch. It's what I think of when I think of an Oberheim, especially that default patch. It's an Oberheim. It makes me obviously think it's an Oberheim. And obviously have cool things like the vintage mode. And again, it's really about that filter. You can crank the resonance. It just sounds absolutely great. And it's super easy to make just a great sounding Oberheim patch out of this. Let's just do it really quick. So init patch. Let's bring in 2 oscillators. Detune. We're just using saws on both to add some release. And then let's go ahead and turn down the filter all the way, and we're going to have some attack. We're just going to use the attack from the filter envelope. So. We get that brassy sound. Turn the resonance, just crank it. And that's that Oberheim sound. That easy. This detune control just makes it so easy. That might be a little too quacky. Yeah, so you get the idea. And then just to add, like I said, it has super polished mod matrix. It's super easy to use. We just go over here. I can choose voice spread. I could go down and then to panning, which is over here. Let's just past it. Turn it up to 100, and then we get immediate stereo spread. So. So easy to just get a good sound out of this. Yeah, so let's go here. Let's go back to bank 1. Let's just go back to It's an Oberheim since there's no effects on this. Other than pan spreading, but I don't really consider that effect. And let's go over to my other favorite piece of gear this year, and that is the Erica Synths Nightverb. And if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know I love reverb. And there's 3 reverbs that I really consider like the pinnacle of fantastic reverbs, at least when it comes to the pedal form factor. Obviously, there's some software reverbs that are just as good. I would say the Valhalla Supermassive is up there, but it goes by the same ethos as these reverbs tend to go on, and that's multi-tap delays merged into a reverb. So you can do that with the microcosm from Hologram Effects. You can do that with the new and the old Big Sky or the Cloudburst, because you'd use the cloud algorithm for that. And you can do it on the Nightverb, obviously. The Nightverb has one algorithm, and that is all it is. It is a multi-tap delay that turns into a reverb, and it is fantastically gorgeous, and I just absolutely love it. Yeah, so super easy to get a good sound out of it. So let's just listen to it. I mean, I've already made some videos, so it's not going to be too long. So It's an Oberheim. So, yeah. And one thing that I should mention is the other reason all the reverbs I've mentioned are super good is because they have good modulation as well. You need the modulation. So, yeah. So let's just do that. That's called spin on this. You can turn it way up on this and it'll still sound great. And then obviously we have a size parameter here, and we have feedback because it's a multi-tap delay into a reverb. So yeah, we're turning the multi-tap that. So we're going to turn the size way up. Let's turn the pre-delay down. All right. Shape goes between early reflections and the reverb tails. I'm not going to go too much over this. I have already a video on this. And then you have the stereo control. You literally go from mono to this beautiful stereo spread. And then you have like high damping, which is really nice. And then you have your bass and treble controls. So yeah, I like to roll off the treble just a little. Actually, it's the other way around. You do this to roll it off. Hold on. Yeah, because you're dampening the high frequency. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to random. And then when I turn that off, you can hear just how long it takes to just, especially with that much feedback. It can go on for a very long time. I will say it isn't the most versatile reverb, so if you're only if you want a simple reverb, don't get it. Obviously, it's very expensive. It's not worth the simple reverb things. Yes, it can do just some space additive effects, but if that's all you need, just use the built-in reverb in most synths. That'll do the trick, especially in the TO5 if you just need a little added space. But if you want a big ambient reverb, there are few reverbs out there that are better than this. Or actually, there are none. They're all on the same level, in my opinion. I will say that things like the Microcosm, which aren't designed to be a reverb, is way more versatile than this for like granular effects. And then obviously the Big Sky MX, where you can have two reverb algorithms at the same time, and there's countless reverb algorithms inside of it, including impulse responses. So that might be your more versatile selection right there. But yeah, that said, for big ambient spaces, absolutely fantastic. I just don't know what to play right now. Kind of just like, you know, messing around. But yeah, you get the idea. It's just such a big reverb. I mean, if we get a swell in there. Just forever. And then it has a freeze function. And then another thing that I haven't demoed on it yet, but have been demoed in a few other videos I've seen, you can send this MIDI note data and you can do what you can on the, like, what is it? The, oh man, it's the Strymon Night one. What is it? The Night Sky, sorry. You can play it chromatically. You can play the reverb buffer basically chromatically. So it's kind of unique. You can kind of do that on the Chase Bliss, the new the Mood Mark II too, but it's not really the reverb buffer. It's more of like the sample buffer. But Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Lovely, just modulation and lovely effect, and extremely well built. And unlike the Big Sky MX, which I did get another Big Sky MX, it didn't make it on this list as best gear of the year because. I mean, it's great, but it's just more of the same, but better. Like, so it's a Big Sky, but it's been increased to be a better device with 2 reverb algorithms, and all the reverbs have been updated, and they sound fantastic. But the other thing I was gonna say, the Big Sky MX does not come with a power adapter anymore. They cheaped out on that for such an expensive reverb. I'm kind of bitter about that. It's like, look, I know that the Big Sky is kind of like it goes with guitarists, but you're going to see a lot of keyboard players using it, and a lot of keyboard players aren't going to have a power supply available like outright, or they're not even going to know that, especially if you're just getting into it. I mean, yeah, that's a very expensive pedal to get into reverb with, but maybe it's one you've just wanted for a long time, and now that you've gotten into hardware, you get it at home. Obviously, you're going to need some 1/4-inch cables to hook it up, but now you're going to need a power supply too. The Nightverb comes with its own power supply, but it does have a caveat going with that. It is, I think it's 12 volts. I do think it's 12 volts, so that's a downer there, and it's center positive, so it won't work with your standard pedal power supplies. I do believe it's the same barrel size, so be very careful when if you have this along with other pedals, not to plug in the wrong power supply. But yeah, I'm just rambling now about that. So yeah, that's my favorite gear of 2024. Let's see what 2025 gives us for gear, and we'll see how that goes. All right. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content and you haven't subscribed to me yet, go ahead and subscribe. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and have a good 2025 New Year's Day.